Great, thanks, Ty. Yeah, we're incredibly excited about the opportunity to go up to Iowa State and play this weekend. It was a game, as I'm sure you're all aware, that we thought was a possibility back in September, and then the NCAA didn't grant the waiver appeal that we requested, and so it fell through. And our guys were excited then, and so we really put it totally out of our minds. And then with the situation with Incarnate Word and the opportunity kind of presenting itself again, and really we met as a team last Monday for our end of season team meeting, and at that point it was a possibility, really dependent on Incarnate Word winning their first round playoff game. And so the last time we met as a team was Monday night, and we didn't even know this was going to happen. And then Tuesday, with Incarnate Word choosing not to play in the game, and the opportunity presented itself. Our team's excited, but we haven't been together as a team yet since that time. We had guys already on the road home for Thanksgiving, and so we haven't had a chance to get together as an entire team. But I know our guys are excited. We're excited about getting back in the practice field. They've already been in the weight room today, and getting back after it. So it'll be a fun weekend, a fun event. To go up and play a team of Iowa State's quality, and we're excited about it.
Coach, could you explain to us you mentioned the waiver possibility in September. Could you walk us through the logistics of that?
Yeah, I mean, as best as I can. Brian Harden, our athletic director, and Jamie were involved a lot more than I with that. And it really centered around the fact that because we're a non-scholarship program, we don't count as a bowl eligibility win. And so that was the request, was that it would count because of the special circumstances regarding to the weather in the first game for Iowa State. And so that didn't come through, and so that knocked us out of the ability to play in the game. But then since then, Iowa State has gotten their bowl eligibility wins necessary, so it kind of opened it back up.
So the first Iowa State's first inclination was to have you guys play them.
That I don't know. I was a part of the conversations from the very beginning. I know they were very interested in us playing them. I do know that. But whether we were first in line, I don't know the answer to that.
When it comes to adding a game after the season's done, how much did you talk to the team about the possibility and, I guess, value their input in terms of what they wanted to do too?
Yeah, so it started to become a more real possibility when on Sunday, was that the 18th, a week and a day ago, when we see that Incarnate Word did get the playoff bid, and so now that put in question the game with Iowa State. And so we talked. I met actually our captains for lunch on Monday, a week ago today, to try to get their feedback on it, and they were, they couldn't contain themselves. They were so excited, and then on Monday night at our team meeting, we talked about it. Brian talked with the team about it. We answered questions, and then all the coaches left the room, and our captains were with the team and said, "Guys, do we want to do this?" And we need to be all in if we're going to do it. And so they were in there together for about 10 minutes. I was standing outside. I couldn't hear what was being said, but there was a lot of excitement in the room. So I took that as a pretty positive sign. And then when our captains came out, they said, "We're all in. If we get the chance, we'd love to play the game."
So it was one of those things that they came back and said, "We don't want to do it. Let's pass." You would have been fine with that too? Yeah,
Brian and I both said from the start was if our guys aren't all in for this, we shouldn't go up and play the game. The game is first and foremost about the players, right? And that's true for Iowa State. That's true for us too. But honestly, after I had lunch with our captains, I had a feeling I knew which way it was going to go, because they, like I said, they could hardly contain themselves about playing the game.
Sorry, how have you tried to navigate the last week? Like you mentioned, guys were on the road back home for Thanksgiving, and try to get prepared for this game, bring everybody back together. How have you and the staff kind of gone about that?
It's kind of gone like this: take a bite of turkey, watch a play of football, and then work on something with the game, and then repeat. That's really what we've been doing here the past week. We've communicated, obviously, these days you can communicate pretty easily with the team. And so Tuesday, when the announcement made, I let the team know that the game is on. I gave them an idea for the schedule this week. With yesterday's weather, we have some guys still trying to get back to campus. Not too many, so that's worked out well. But we had some guys with plane flights that weren't going to be in today, so they've been working on changing those last week. And then as coaches and the administrative staff has been working incredibly hard. Shannon's here, Megan, Brian, Patrick, Tomka have all been working overtime over a normal, hopefully relaxing Thanksgiving break, but this one got a little busier because of the logistics for that, and we've been doing that as a staff as well to get ready for this week.
What do you hope to get out of this game?
What do I hope to get out of this game? What I hope to get out of every game we play. Our ultimate goal in our football program is that through our student athletes in our football program, their experience at Drake as a student and in our football program as an athlete, that they leave here ready to be what we call impact men, to go make, differences in our world. And that's not just, hot air or good marketing kind of thing. That's who we are and what we're all about. And this game is an opportunity because they're going to be challenged. Iowa State's obviously a great football team, best football team we've lined up against, okay? But to be in that environment, to have that experience, to go against an opponent like that, that challenges you, and it's going to stretch them and grow them. And that's ultimately what I want to see out of the game. I also hope it's a great memory for our guys. I think that's part of it, and a great experience for our two institutions to have another opportunity to compete. And I think it's good for Central Iowa as well.
What kind of players are you able to bring in here? And I think there's maybe a misconception that this is a little different because it's non-scholarship and NCAA doesn't grab that waiver, but I think a lot of people forget that you guys play on the same footing as any FCS program and that sort of thing. How would you kind of describe the quality of players you guys bring in?
Yeah, we bring a very high quality of player in a variety of ways that you would measure that. Okay, so we bring in guys who are not only passionate about being great at the game of football, who are talented about the game of football, but being at a school like Drake, okay, and as you said, without athletic scholarships, these guys are passionate about doing something great with their lives. We have a number of guys who've turned down football money to be at a place like Drake, to have the kind of experience that they can get here and be a part of what happens in our program. And those kind of young men are special people, not just because of their ability, but also because who they are character-wise and what they hope to accomplish in life. So, we've got some pretty good football players. I mean, it was fun on Thursday watching Eric Saubert play against the Saints. And, so we bring a high-level type of player, but it's more than just what they're able to do on the field and how fast they run a 40. It has to do with a lot of other things as well, and I think that typifies our young men.
How do you feel like your defense matches up?
Oh, boy, I tell you, watching the Iowa State-Kansas State game Saturday night, there's a lot of weapons on that offense that we're going to be watching on Sundays for a lot of years to come. Our defense is the strength of our team. We have a lot of confidence in our defense, but this certainly is the biggest challenge that they've faced. So, you know what? We're going to go and we're going to compete one play at a time, and we're going to focus on the next play and let the outcome take care of itself, but we're going to play Drake football, and Drake football is playing fast, playing physical, playing together, and we're going to do that one snap at a time and compete as best as we can.
You mentioned it a second ago, but of your roster, what is kind of the makeup of, I've heard of some Drake players who come here for, maybe pharmacy that could have walked on at Iowa State, could have walked on at a Power 5, or could have gotten, like you said, partial scholarship money. What kind of makeup is it of guys who say, I want that academic thing and I want this or that, and turn down maybe a scholarship or walk on?
Yeah, we did a thing. This was maybe 2012 where we actually polled our players in that question, and I think it was 2/3 that had turned down some type of football money in order to be here. Now that could be FBS, FCS, and Division II money in there. And, you know, the bulk of them aren't turning down FBS money. I'll be real with you on that. But what our guys are about is guys who, you know, they see the value of a Drake education. And they know that the long-term return on that investment is going to be significant. And then they get to be a part of a football program that's very serious about being the best that we can be and going and doing great things on the field, but also is going to impact their lives in different ways. You know, I've stood on the top of Mount Kilimanjaro with Drake football players. We've been to China with Drake football players. You know, no other football program at any level can say those two things with us, and to be a part of a program that's having an impact in their lives in those ways, as well as pursuing excellence on the football field, as well as getting the kind of education we get at Drake. You know, every guy on our team fits that mold because they've all made a sacrifice and a commitment to be able to play here and go to school here. And so they're bought into that. So I'd say every guy fits that mold. And a good number of them have turned down the opportunity at football money because they see what Drake is all about.
How much do you talk to them about just being the massive underdog in a game like that?
You know what? I don't get into underdogs or overdogs. We never call them overdogs, but I don't get into that. It's about the next snap, you know, and we're going to play our football as best as we can. And it doesn't matter if we line up a team against a team like Iowa State or a team that's not considered as talented as Iowa State. We're going to line up and we're going to do what we do and be who we are. And that's what we're going to do. And so we don't talk a lot about that. A lot of people around us talk about those things on one way or the other in the games. And you know what, as any competitor, and I'm sure this is true for Coach Campbell and his team as well, is you got to drown out that noise and you got to focus on what you're doing. And that's what we're going to do this week like we try to do every other week we play.
Speaking of Coach Campbell, what do you think of just the work he's done? I'm sure you've heard or seen some of the culture changes he's made up there. What are your thoughts on what he's done there?
Yeah, he's doing an incredible job. You know, I don't often get to just sit down and watch a game because obviously we're busy on weekends. So it was fun to watch him on Saturday night against Kansas State. I mean, what an incredible football game, and the way they came back and made the plays when they had to make them. That reflects the kind of culture and team that they have and that he's developed. And just following him back from the MAC, and we both have Division III backgrounds, and so you know, I've kind of followed him even going back to Mount Union days. I have a feeling, I'm not sure, might have coached against him in Mount Union in the mid-'90s in the playoffs. I'm not sure about that. I'm going to ask him that on Saturday. But he's a football coach, and he knows how to get his teams to play together, to play hard together, play well together, and they're very disciplined. They play the game the right way, and on top of that, they're very talented. So he's doing a lot of good stuff up there.
Is there an experience you can get at a Division III school, like you mentioned with Coach Campbell's and yours, that translates to Division I, that there's some sort of underlying current there that you can kind of bring to a bigger program?
Well, yeah, that's a really good question. I played Division III as well, and one of the things that I think I've brought with that, from that, to my other experiences in coaching is those guys are just out there because they love playing the game. And you know what? I think if you look in the NFL and the best players in the NFL who play for a long period of time and show continued success, you know what they all have in common? They love playing the game. They love playing the game of football. And sometimes we can get so distracted by all the other stuff, and that's just distractions. And that's one thing about, I think about Division III, because there's a lot less distractions, and so you're constantly reminded of why you're playing the game. And I hope that in our program here that I'm constantly reminding that to our guys. And I just sensing and watching Iowa State play that Coach Campbell's doing that as well.
Nathan Clayberg the season he's had, and hopefully he gets to add to those stats on Saturday.
Yeah, I mean, Nathan is like the poster child of what we're talking about in a Drake football player. I mean, here's this great football player, and I'll be honest with you, we almost didn't offer him a roster spot. We were thinking about not bringing him in because he was a step slow linebacker and a little too light to be a defensive lineman. And now I don't know how many years all conference he's been in our conference, 4-year starter for us, 2-time captain, AFCA, All-State Good Works team. We could just go on and on and on. And then now to get that honor, it's certainly well-deserved. It's also a reflection on his teammates as well because, as you know, those kind of honors have as much to do with the guys playing around you as yourself. But incredibly excited for Nathan. And yeah, he's excited. You know, he's an Iowa guy, and to get a chance to finish off his career by going up and playing at Iowa State, I'm sure is a dream come true for him.
You said you almost didn't bring him in. What did led you to bring him in, and did you see this? When did you realize he had this type of potential?
Yeah, really fun story because we were going back and forth. That was I had just become head coach, and we were, you know, kind of scrambling to keep recruiting together when you're trying to replace the staff, and we weren't sure about Nathan. When Coach Creighton was here, we were kind of debating, and then, you know, the turnover, we're still trying to figure it out. And so finally he came up for a visit in February. It was after signing day. And his mom and Nathan and myself are sitting in my office, and he was going to be coming back in a few weeks to interview for what's called the National Alumni Scholarship here, which is, you know, very, very competitive with very high-end students, and go through a whole interview process. And I said to him, I said, Nathan, I said, you know, they're going to ask you why you should get this scholarship. What's going to be your answer? And I'll never forget it. He looked me square in the eye. He said, I'll tell you why, Coach, because Drake University isn't going to be the same when I leave here. And I said to him, and I could get emotional about this, I said to him before what we thought was our final game, he was up in my office talking, and I said, Nathan, do you remember what you said when you were sitting in that seat? And he goes, no, actually my mom was sitting in this seat. I was sitting in that seat. And I said, I remember exactly what I said. I said, Nathan, you accomplished it. You know, he's impacted our football team. He's impacted our athletic program, and he's impacted our campus in so many ways. I mean, he sang the national anthem at our final home game. I mean, how many Conference Players of the Year in Division I football did that this fall? You know, Nathan, you just walked in. I'm embarrassing you right now. And so he reflects what we're all about. And so, yeah, when he gave that statement, we're talking about the conversation in my office when you came and visited, I knew he was going to be a great player. I didn't know how great. I didn't know that we'd be sitting here saying this, but I could tell by the way he answered that he was going to do what he said.
Is that when you decided, okay, we got to make a roster spot for him?
No, we had decided actually just before that. That's what we were talking about in my office. But I knew then that was a really good decision just by the way he answered that question.